Okay, so we're going to start. We need everyone to please be up on your feet. May as well grab your bags. It's not going to be too painful because we're all going to move into these centre rows. And stay standing when we get here. You guys stay standing. But come across, huddle up. I don't want to hurt my neck looking around trying to find you guys. Nice. Stay standing. We're going to ask you guys some questions. Awesome. So, guys, we've got just to get an understanding of who's in the room. Just like to learn a little bit more about you. So, look, presuming, just a show of hands first, who here's sort of in a business that does B2B sale? Okay. Everyone else whose hand was not up, you can sit down. Don't worry, you stay standing. All right. So people whose business, the average contract value of what you sell is under 10 grand. Could you please sit down? If your average contract value is under 50 grand, please sit down. Still a few up. All right. 100? 200? 5? What are you selling here? Cheating. Awesome. So guys, thank you very much for that. It gives us a good understanding as to, I guess, what you guys are going to want to get out of this, because what we're talking about here is building a sales machine, and your sales machine is very much dependent on how much the value of what it is that you sell, because you've got to take your different models to market based off basically the segment that you're in, which really aligns to how much your customers pay. So as mentioned, the theme is really about building that sales machine, because the world of sales has changed drastically. Okay, so a couple of obviously the big shift, which we all know and understand, which is why we're here. Like it's B2B Rocks is a lot of us are all sort of SaaS vendors, and so adopting to this sort of new model has meant that there's a lower of an average contract value. Okay, sales cycles are going faster, and more importantly, there's a lot more information out there for people to consume. So salespeople can't just hide all the information here and just tell the customer a few lies and keep things moving. Okay, so that basically means that the world of the rainmaker, okay, these sales superstars that used to, these sort of 20% of people who deliver 80% of your revenue are dead. Okay, you can't survive. You can't build a scalable organisation like that. You need to find a way to be able to get 80% of your revenue coming from 80% of your sales team. Okay, we need to be able to make our businesses rainmaker immune. So that's why we're going to be here talking about how we actually go and build a sales machine. And so super excited about the panel that we've got. We've got different perspectives, different average contract values. So there's going to be a little bit of something for everyone. So I'll invite all the speakers up, and then we'll go down and get them to tell them a little bit more about their business. So first of all, we'll get Nolan, who's the co-founder of AwardForce. All right, thank you. Lo Russo, CEO of Digivisor. Where am I going to go? All right, I'll come down this side. And Matt Browne, founder and CEO of DoneSafe. Brilliant. So I was obviously going to do a horrible job of introducing you guys properly. So if we could start, and down the other end, if you could just tell us just a little bit about AwardForce. You and yourself and AwardForce. We can hear you.
Yes, right. AwardForce is a SaaS platform for award management programs, so grants, scholarships, anything that has a submission and assessment component. So essentially we help people find and recognise excellence in communities all over the world. So we work with people like the Country Music Awards, through to business awards, you name it, there's awards for everything. We are about almost 5 years old commercially.
Yep.
And we have a team of soon to be 23. And in, what are we now, 12 countries? Yeah, that's right.
Don't look at me, I don't know.
Sorry, someone else down there. Yeah, so we are a fully distributed team.
Okay, awesome. And what's your average contract value?
5130 Australian dollars annually, and in the first year there's an $1,800 onboarding component.
All right, I like that, very precise. It's good to know when people know their numbers. Awesome. Emma?
Hi. So Digivisor we help companies go to market through digital. We're a development ad partner to the social and search platforms. We have a technology platform that enables any business to connect up their social and search accounts and see in real time owned, earned and paid media, so you can have real-time insights as to what's working for you and what doesn't. And then we add services over the top for clients like Microsoft and Lenovo and Optus and sort of the big end. So we can kind of do end-to-end anything. We build digital sales models, and particularly in B2B, we're experts in how to build social to sales through social for big contracts and smaller ones.
Okay. What's the range of contracts?
So the software starts at $89 a month.
Okay.
An average kind of services plus tech would be in the vicinity of 5 to 10K a month.
Yep.
And so we kind of have 3 tiers of customers. So we could have a 2 million plus 12-month contract, and then we could have, there's a bunch that sit around 120, and then there's a whole bunch that sit just at 3K a month, but it's always $89 a month sitting underneath that for the tech.
Awesome. Well, lots of exciting things to get into there around the sort of segmentation piece. And Matt. Yeah.
That's okay. So I'm Matt Browne, and I run DoneSafe. So DoneSafe, we are, end-to-end compliance software, and primarily we help you to protect your business and yourself from anything that can, hurt you, hurt your reputation, or hurt your back pocket. So that's really the focus of our platform. We have 2 segments. So we have an SME segment and we have an enterprise segment. We're probably stronger in the enterprise space at the moment with an ACV in the enterprise space of, the 6-figure contract sizes. And then in SME, we've got sort of an average contract value of around 15K.
Okay, awesome. And we'll run back down as we go back down the other way. Look, obviously you're selling to very different people. Could you just give us an understanding of the size of your sales organisation, or that sales and customer organisation, and also who is that ideal customer that you speak to?
Yeah, look, as a business, so we have 2 ideal customers. So our first ideal customer is enterprises. They're the customers that we work directly with, primarily because they need us to help them to obviously solve a problem in their business. Maybe their workers' compensation premiums are too high and it's costing them millions of dollars. Maybe they want to self-insure. Maybe they're hurting too many people, whatever it might be. In terms of the enterprise space, our ideal customers, we work with Telstra and McDonald's and people like that. And then in the SME space, obviously SMEs, we can't interact directly with every SME, so we work with partners, and our partners tend to be insurance brokers and practitioners who are advising on risk.
Okay, and so if you look at that enterprise space, who in the business is the purchaser of your technology?
Again, in enterprise, it tends to be the person responsible for risk. So if they're buying our health...
Is that on their LinkedIn title?
Yeah, it is. So chief risk officer is a real thing. And there are big risk departments. But basically, risk managers, health and safety managers, and heads of HR.
Yep. Okay, so that's pretty broad. Awesome. Emma, how about you over there at Digivisor?
Yeah, so depending on which tier, we target small to medium businesses for just the tech only, and that's just a digital sales funnel, just completely online. Anyone that we're selling services to will be the CEO or owner, so funded startups is a nice sweet spot for us in terms of trying to get to scale, and because we're data driven, everything's based on data, we can know what works and what doesn't, so it can be a very effective way of doing things. And as it goes larger into enterprise, it would be like the CMO, it could still be, sometimes we get engaged at the board level, help us go digital, develop out the digital sales funnel. We also act as the CEOs for large organisations and C-levels, so building their social profile, and we have a program that's about curation, creation and connection, and how that actually works as part of your sales funnels.
Yeah. And
we follow suit.
What's the size of your sort of sales or customer organisation?
So probably... So nearly everything still is online in terms of what comes in. We're 63 people. We're in 13 countries, and about 30% of our revenues are earned overseas. From a sales perspective, really, I guess there's just me. But in terms of the team that delivers,
very busy,
is more like we're very content led. It's a very much digital first way that we go to market, and so really it's just conversion with the conversation. Yep. And then once the client's on, then they'll have their own team that will be allocated to the client.
So you're the one answering all those inbound queries?
Well, no, we're a bit more automated than that, but yeah, kind of. Not really. It's more automated. It's actually more automated. So we've got intercom on our both on our website and in app.
Yep.
So then there's a team that would answer those, and a lot of those are ready-made questions. We've got a dedicated social person, so they're answering a lot of that content there. But in terms of what would feed, so like one of the things I would say for everyone is think about your digital sales funnel. So what's brand, what's consideration, and what's conversion. So if you like, often I'll play the brand bit, get people interested, make sure that they're following. So then it's what content are we helping people understand what they want and what they might convert on. And then there will be a call to action, and then hopefully that's an easy onboarding experience.
And obviously fuels a lot of the conversations for when you've got to have them, like all the content that they've engaged with.
And a lot of insight, because every time someone's touching something, they're sharing a lot of information by that engagement.
Awesome. Very cool.
We work with industry associations, event management companies, government, and also direct corporations. So within that, it's really the people who are running the programs. So anyone who's actually responsible for all the submission of entries and all of the judging is our ideal client, really.
With everyone usually publicises when they're putting on an award. It's pretty obvious who's running them. So, I mean, with that, do you wait for them to come to you, or do you go outbound to go find them?
It's been evolving. Certainly in the beginning it was pretty much all outbound, and we're quite fortunate for that reason, that it is actually relatively easy to find people that are running programs and to get to them and to get to have a conversation with them. Outbound now has moved down to being about 30% of our revenue, with probably the largest amount now coming from inbound, which and referrals, which is really risen up quite dramatically, which is wonderful.
Yeah, always a good thing. Matt, what does that look like for you guys in terms of how you're going and actually getting these conversations with these potential customers?
Yeah, look, it's obviously evolved over time. Obviously, initially it was just getting out there and picking up the phone and calling anybody who'd listen to us. But it's definitely becoming a lot more marketing-led now. So, as our business has kind of gone through, the growth phase and now into sort of the scale-up phase, we've got a marketing department. We're probably at a point now where pretty close to 50% of our leads come inbound, which is great. But that doesn't mean that you can get lazy on getting out there and actually networking and calling people either. So it's pretty much a 50-50 split at the moment.
Okay, awesome. Now, one of the big challenges we see around that sort of this prospecting, this initial engagement piece, is actually sort of training and enabling the people who are doing the conversations to have that passion and to have that knowledge that you guys, the founders, hold. I mean, how do you impart that knowledge into these sort of people that you've hired to be able to carry on that message for you?
Look, I think, some of the ways that we've found is, as a founder, you kind of have the founder glow, which basically means people want to talk to you because you founded something and it's kind of cool. When you've got to teach a sales team to do that, you obviously look for sales people, first and foremost, who are a little entrepreneurial and can think outside of the box.
Yep.
But you also need to very quickly teach salespeople that it's all about the mental model of the customer you're working with. And, how do you kind of break that down so you're understanding the problem, the intrinsic problem, the hygiene factors for that individual. For us, we're primarily risk management software. So one of those intrinsic values is I don't want to go to jail, I don't want to be fined, and I don't want to, obviously don't want anyone to be hurt on my watch. So, that definitely helps.
Pretty strong emotional drivers there for people. How does that work for you guys at Digivisor, Emma? Like in terms of enabling your people on the phones on chat to carry
so
on
we
your message?
don't have phones, so it's all
How good's
social.
that? You sell no
It's all
phones.
social site. Yeah, no phones.
That is such a rarity these days.
But I would actually say the secret is hire the most awesome people. So we hire on smart, talented, get things done, infinite learner, not an asshole. And it doesn't matter what they've done, and you almost want people that don't fit mould.
How do you validate that in the interview process, the last point?
Believe it or not, people that you'll even a simple question like, tell me when you were most unhappy with someone at work and how you manage that. And just even that response could be something, or you throw a curly question in and it cuts across them and you just watch behaviour. You can actually pick these moments up. Even people can be difficult just even making confirming their meeting time after they've applied.
Yep.
You'll just get a sense. So anyone that looks like they're hard work, they're just not in, because if they're going to be hard at that point, they'll be really difficult. And we'll screen them out very quickly as well. So I think and the team knows this, so we lead with values, we hire, everyone knows how to talk to that, they're proud then to work there. And then we do weekly wins of the week and we show what's going on. And
Awesome.
so it's a continuous kind of, here's what we're working to, here's what we're, the problems that we're solving, here's what, we want customers to feel, here's where we are. So it's a continuous show, listen, hear. We do weekly lunch and learns. We do, so it's a whole bunch of ways of just making it live so anyone can be out there. And then basic stuff like you can see T-shirts and things like just make them brand ambassadors because they want to be.
Yeah. Look for the T-shirts. Here we go.
Look at the Microsoft ones, right?
Yeah.
So, there's your ones, right?
Yep.
So
Plenty out there. So it's awesome. So it's a constant sort of continuous learning journey that you've got through in there. And is the learning, you talked about sort of lunch and learns, is a lot of that product focused or you're thinking more around customers and what sort of the challenges that they face?
So, for instance, we've got a product one going on at the moment, but it's actually a product challenge. So you win points and a winner will win something.
Yeah.
So they've got to solve real problems, but it's their customer problems. So it's who can mimic and do that and go through getting the answers for a real... So it's got to live and breathe, whereas if it was just wrote or written, this doesn't live. But actually it's more like even, my previous company, I was president and chief operating officer of a ASX listed software company and we had 2,000 resellers. We found the best way to grow sales was to actually help them run their business, which was more about how to develop a business plan, how to help them design really effective compensation plans, how to focus on leadership and have constructive conversations, practice radical candour, and it was all these completely different things that we actually could link directly to sales growth because it was more about developing the leader of who you were partnering with. And so that philosophy is just the same at Digivise. Like, how can we grow people? If you grow people, you grow your company.
Which is, it's great to hear. Like, it's one of those things that having, like, we replace reseller with sales rep, and we find that the people who are really sort of motivated to help their teams grow just create that loyalty and just sort of foster that learning. So it's awesome to hear that you guys are on that journey at Digivise. So, and mixing it up a little bit. Okay, so we talked a little bit there around prospecting piece and then sort of around a little bit around staff. But actually, let's stay on the staff. Do you have any sort of any interesting interview questions or tactics that you use to sort of make sure you guys don't get arseholes?
I agree. I think it's fairly easy to spot that one. But we've had a phenomenal journey actually in attracting the right type of person. One of the biggest challenges with being a fully remote environment is that it's actually not that well suited to salespeople. So traditionally, a lot of the higher performers in sales like to be around other salespeople, like to have the buzz and hear the ding ding and have that sort of that combined motivation. So when you throw that away and put someone off in a room by themselves that may not actually have another conversation with another team member all day. It's a very different kind of person that will succeed in that role. So we have quite a comprehensive recruitment process. We're very careful. We're very slow to hire in some, probably maybe too slow sometimes, but it's very important to us to get the right person on board and use a combination of traditional recruitment questions and techniques and profiling.
Okay.
Is a really critical factor for us.
Anyone favourite question or tactic you'd like to share with the team, with the audience?
Tell me about a recent act of kindness.
Recent act of kindness. Solid. Matt, do you have one?
I always like to ask, why would you hire you if you were in my shoes? I think that's a nice way to flip it.
Yeah. One that I heard recently was just similar around the random act of kindness is just leaving a bit of rubbish on the floor in front of the waiting room chairs and seeing if they pick it up and put it in the bin. Right. Just sort of finding out. So, yeah, interesting. Always good for that. Oh, here we go. I like this.
So one question you can definitely learn a lot about a person is ask them if they had to work out the number of petrol stations in Sydney, how would they go about it? Because we've got something we want to do with it. And often that'll just be like, either, why are you asking me that question? That's so weird. It's not in my door. Like, how does this relate? Or it'll be someone be going, I probably have to approach it with what's the population of Sydneyite? So you can get a completely different understanding just
Yep.
by throwing a question that just like, will someone panic? Will they critically think?
The Google questions.
Will they actually? Yeah. But it works.
Yeah, awesome. So look, a big part of building a sales machine is really sort of making sure that you've got a repeatable way to be able to drive people through the process. And to do that, you really need to be able to have a process. So, Matt, if we'll sort of come back and we'll start at you. I mean, what is firstly, do you have a good understanding of sort of your win rate of what it takes from when you sort of open an opportunity to when you close it?
Yeah, look, I think we've got a pretty good understanding. So we track all of the the sort of standard SaaS metrics.
Yeah.
We use a program called Grow. Fantastic if you're looking for something.
Cool.
So we pump all of our metrics into there, and we have weekly stand-ups where we look at all of those. But
Nice.
For us, we find that if we can get to demo, we have a very high close rate. So more than 2/3 of demos will close.
Yep.
Probably where we're still trying to get a better understanding is how to get them into demo and how many calls does it take to get them to demo, and maybe the quality of conversations that are being had to actually make that happen.
Okay. So how many? What CRM are you guys using?
So we use Prosperworks.
Prosperworks.
Yeah, which
Okay.
is the Alphabet-backed one. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Just CRMs as we go down.
Pipe drive.
Pipe drive.
We don't use one.
Don't use one. Really bucking every trend here. So we can only ask the end couple of people. So how many stages do you have in your sales process?
So we have five in the
Five.
sales process.
Yep. So presuming first one's discovery, maybe
Yeah, so qualification.
qualification.
Yep.
To demo.
So then we go into demo, that's right, and then obviously we have negotiation, which is actually one. I've missed one. So we go from demo, then we go into a stage where I can't remember the name of it. Just valuation. That's it.
There we go. The
Excellent.
DoneSafe T-shirt out the back. Yeah.
I don't use my CRM. That's a bad thing. Yeah. So evaluation, then into negotiation, then closing, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Anne, how about you?
We have 6, I think. So we started working on and then pre-demo, demo, post-demo, proposal and negotiation. So I like to keep a good track on deals that are won straight from proposal versus the ones that... So negotiation is where additional questions come out after you've sent the proposal.
Yep.
Which, generally means you've missed something at the earlier stage.
Yeah, awesome. So one of the tough things that we find is that sometimes, look, these stages mean they're fairly nebulous, and sales reps use them in their own independent way, and what means one for one thing means something for another, and then sort of means your forecasting's all out of whack. How do you guys, do you guys use any technology, or how do you actually sort of maintain that hygiene of that sort of pipeline?
So we have an aging pipeline, and we also have a percentage of confidence applied to each of the pipe.
Yep.
We track that, and we track how many days things are slipping in each of the stages. So basically, based on obviously our average, we apply our average values across, and we look for things that are kind of special cause variations from that.
Yep. Awesome.
Very similar.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Now, Emma, how does it? You guys obviously don't have a CRM. You've obviously done a lot of work. You're out here building the brand now, and then you're coming and engaging people coming in via their inbound. They don't immediately just come and sign up straight away, do they?
So at the moment, if they were coming straight to web, they would just register their interest,
Yep.
and it's just automated in terms of email program from there. And so we just look at numbers. So we set goals, and we set numbers that we're hoping to convert through that pipeline. But it's every part of that pipe. And that's set at the organisation level. So we follow OKRs, which is objective key results. It's under the radical focus. Yep. So everyone talks a common language, and we follow those numbers at that level. From the enterprise side, it tends to be nearly all referral.
Yep.
So we have a very high conversion rate. It's easy to manage on a whiteboard or a Google spreadsheet. And we use Slack to manage any of our actual kind of opportunities, because often it will have a little bit of a team. So we run it more as a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either large numbers and it's automated, or it's small enough that it's manageable, but big deals off the bat.
Okay. Sometimes we see companies sort of adopting technology so that they can really, take it out of the sales rep's hands. Like really sort of meaning that making sure that the customer is the one that's signalling where they are in the sales process. Have any of you guys utilised that? I mean, we see sort of an example might be some document signing, e-signing kind of technology to understand sort of when and how people are looking at their proposals.
Yeah, so for us, we've actually just rolled out Panda Docs, so that's
Okay.
the new one. But we've always used tech to kind of get our proposals out there to understand, how far they've gone through the proposal, which pages they've looked at, how the time that they've spent. So
Yep.
that's really interesting information. And it's the same when we're raising funds. When we send out a deck to investors, we like to see the same sort of story. So I think you can never get enough of that data around where people are engaging within your decks, and obviously you can use that then to fine tune your messaging on those slides.
Yeah. Very cool. And sort of taking a slightly different tact for you guys. I mean, it seems like especially on awards, like the people who are managing and driving it are probably going to be different to the people who are actually making the decisions on where their budget gets allocated. So when you're sort of going through that process, similar to what sort of Matt described there with sort of the proposals, how do you sort of better enable the champion within the business to then sort of sell to the decision maker?
That's a great question, and it is a huge focus of what we do, because that person, we're quite often selling to people who are not that comfortable with technology, and we're still very much at the early adopter stage of our market. So the sell to them is very, very different from the next level up. We, as much as possible, try and get the decision makers involved in the demo, even if it's only for 10 or 15 minutes, and then we allow them to go again.
Yep.
And keep a very clear communication with the person that we're talking to, so that we understand where the blockers are and what that person above is like and what they need, and then support them with a range of upsell, internal on-sell materials.
Okay. What's an example of some of those materials?
Well, we've just recently released a justification toolkit, which
Okay.
is quite nice.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it has a little ROI calculator, and then the usual things that you would expect, information about about us if they need to know that, but more about what we can do for them, and how we've helped solve that problem for other people just like them.
Very cool. Matt, how do you guys manage that process?
In terms of, sorry,
In terms of moving beyond the initial first point of contact and selling within the broader organisation?
Yeah, so I think one of the really important things, especially because a lot of our sales are enterprise, and especially also when we're teaching our partners how to go and sell our compliance software, it's identifying that a sale, and you sort of said this around sort of the rainmaker sale type, where one person would go in and talk to one person in a business, that person would make the decision, and everyone would cheer and you'd ring the bell. It's still great to ring the bell. But, I think really you find there's about 5.4 people involved in any sales cycle in an enterprise, and it can be a lot higher than that, and it's growing every day. You've got newer and newer departments appearing that have a governance structure. You've got the governance people on board, the more risk-averse people on board. You've got to get your person who's going to go out there and kind of be your champion in the business and promote. So finding those right people is really critical. So we teach our salespeople that they need to go in and obviously have as many conversations with as many people in a business, because one of them may disappear, one of them might leave the company, and then the deal goes stagnant.
Yep. Yeah, it's always one of those tough things to actually sort of getting people to sell on your behalf. And I guess one of the things that we've seen, so it's great to hear you sort of building tools to enable people to sort of educate them on what they need to think about when they're making these decisions. But something that we've seen sort of rising to prominence is just by utilising video. Sort of just creating a really, really sort of simple, not really simple personal video saying, hey, look, it was great to chat to you. These are the challenges you face. This is how we might be able to help you. And then they get sent, and so that sells on your behalf within your business.
I think video is great. I think the other thing that works really well is customer videos, and not customer videos where they're focusing on the features of the thing you're trying to sell them, but really focusing on the pain points that resolve for them, so the hygiene factors for those individuals.
Awesome. Love hearing that. We talked about a couple of big shifts right at the start about how sales has changed. And look, and because business models have changed. So a lot of that also means that the majority of our revenue now happens after our traditional close. Okay, it's really sort of the opening of the relationship that we're going to have. So, Emma, how does that look like at Digivisor? I mean, how do you support your customers to be able to identify and sort of grow that existing base?
So for us, it's like if we help our customers be successful, they will just spend more. It's really simple, and because it's digital marketing, it's easy to measure. I put this much in the top of the funnel, how much converts. So if you can deliver more or show growth over time or more cost-effective lead or sale conversion for them, then they'll just keep spending. Ultimately, they'll keep spending. So that's what we focus on most. So rather than knowing how many people in a sales funnel, we'll say how many pieces of content has had to be touched and how much has that journey had to have been customised. So if someone touches this, what should they receive next? And if they then go to there, what do they receive next? So setting up that digital sales funnel.
Yep.
So that's where we play.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows you to get scale and do mass learnings. And because it's all measurable, you just do more of what works and less of what doesn't. So it seems simple, but you just have to have it all connected in the first place.
Yeah.
And then that gives you clues on content too. Like, what do people care about? You know, where is your audience, your target audience? What are they actually engaging with? Whether it's topics, brands, people, you know, how do you actually use that insight to inform what you do and bring them then on the journey? Because whatever they've connected with, that'll give you a clue of what's next and what's next. So we kind of set up what we're talking about, but in digital.
Yeah, awesome. And so with that, it sounds like a lot of what's happening is alert based from how your customers are utilising your technology, what campaigns that they're running and driving that. Did say even on your lower transactional, higher revenue accounts, do you also have things like scheduled meetings? I mean, I hate the word quarterly business review, but similar style.
I mean, for a large account, they'll be there. There's
Yeah.
no question. And there'll be a team that's allocated to them. So time of a digital strategist and their content creator and et cetera, et cetera. And there will be an analyst. So everything's data-driven for us.
Awesome.
And they'll have real-time view into what's going on. But we would still say from a strategy perspective, how are we resetting strategy based on what we've learnt to kind of basically lock down whatever's next
Yep.
to get, you know, statement of works or POs or something like that. If not, like as I said, my favourite type of customer is someone who really wants to grow their business, who is the decision maker and has a budget. So they tend to be small
It's
to
everyone's
medium.
favourite type of customer, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Small to medium businesses, but particularly, like I said, funded startups are really interesting. They have a huge requirement to report to people, so whether it's their investors or the
Yep.
person who's responsible to the CEO or the founder. So they need to have data, but they've actually got money and they need it to be effective. So they're awesome because they'll make fast decisions and they'll just run. And you know, our job's to help them be successful. So
Yep. And how about in your with your business? I mean, do people have? Is the expansion opportunity potentially? Do they have more awards? Like, how does that? Is there much growth opportunity there with those accounts?
It's certainly different. We see our clients as our sales team, so and all of our users as our sales team. So you know that word of mouth is you know a really important part of what we do. Some people do have multiple programs, and you know we do occasionally get that new business that might come out of it where they've got one and now they want to open another one, but it's more likely to come from more of an industry and knowing other people who run awards programs, or it could be that they are an entrant on one program and a judge on another program and then involved in someone else's program. So it's more that they'll go to do some online judging and go, this is terrible, you should be using AwardForce.
Yeah.
So that's probably where that accelerated growth comes from for us.
So really utilising your existing customers as a channel for new business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. And how about it at DoneSafe? I mean, just the nature of your product makes you pretty sticky because you're quite in depth within a lot of organisations. I mean, how do you identify further opportunities to grow the business within those accounts?
So I guess we made a strategic decision about 12 months ago to really expand our product line, and that came through customer. So for us, you know, the most important thing I think you can do as a founder is get out and see your customer and spend as much time with them as possible, because you're not going to identify sales opportunities from your office. So I guess for me, the big thing for us is we go out to all of our enterprise customers monthly. So
Yep.
we have account meetings with them monthly, and we're always looking for opportunities where they're seeing pain in their business, and obviously that converts to us being able to provide a new solution. So we basically converted our platform to be end-to-end compliance as opposed to health and safety in the last 12 months. We've now grown into areas like 27001 and GDPR and all of those fancy security and data.
Let's say I'll just nod my head and pretend like I know what 27001 means.
But basically all the information security and data
Yeah.
privacy items, for example. So for us, having those monthly account meetings, then asking both our customers, one, who internally would benefit from some of these solutions, but two, who would you recommend us to within your network? And at the same time, would you be happy to write a Capterra review? So
Yeah.
I think that's really important as well.
Not G2 crowd?
Or G2, we actually do both.
Yeah,
so,
good.
yeah.
All right. Monthly's a heavy cadence though. Your customers are giving up, an hour of their time monthly?
And they get a lot of value out of it because we bring them insights at every meeting. So one of the important things for them is, we're fortunate to collect a lot of data. We have a little over 1 million users now. We can provide quite a bit of, desensitized insights back to those individuals, which also then leads them to understand which other modules in our platform might be useful for them.
Okay, awesome. Really cool. So, guys, we're coming to the end of the panel, but I did want to throw it out, and you guys have grown out into that other part of the room. I thought we'd brought everyone in, but wanted to throw open some questions to the floor and see if anyone you had any of their own challenges you want to crowdsource an answer to in building your own sales machine. Everyone's got a rocking sales machine. No one needs help. All right.
I'll ask a question. I loved your idea of this video, sending a video to your clients. Oh, thank you. Does it work, or do your clients find it a bit cheesy?
Let's say it's not my idea. I just steal it from people. But look, we find obviously depends on where and how it's being used. It can be sort of really cheesy, but look, there's especially in that existing client to be able to share it within an organisation. We see people getting a lot of great success.
I think the important thing with video is it has to be entertaining. It has to be, it has to be meaningful.
Or real.
Or real, exactly right. And real is entertaining. And one of the big things with video is it can't be a sales pitch.
Yeah.
So it just needs to be about problems that people are solving, how they're solving them, why they're solving them that way.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's a company that does video called Bonjoro. They sort of build an app and they sort of enables you to make that really easy, but it puts a little thumbnail of the video there. But of all their, they did a sort of reviewed a lot of the open rates. So you can see the thumbnail and what got the open rates. Sometimes if you pause on a video and you get caught in a really sort of funny face, it's those ones when you're actually showing that you're human and it's not highly polished, gets the highest open rates, which is awesome. Because I can't do a perfect video. Any other questions? No. All right, here we go.
Sorry, one quick. You've mentioned the sales process through your CRM.
Thank you. I was wondering, maybe to you, if you've worked with customers that have changed their pipeline, looking at the customer buying journey rather than me as the seller taking the customer through the steps.
Well, how did you guys figure out what you were going to put as the stages in your CRM? Did you just log into the CRM and say, that looks good?
Very iterative. And interestingly, the decision about whether or not to make it internally focused, as in it follows our sales process versus the journey that someone will go through, is something that we've sort of gone back and forward on a little bit, but I keep coming back to, at the moment, it makes more sense for us to actually follow our own internal journey, and that's primarily because we are working with a very new market, and they actually, taking a leading position works very well in our client base, but very, very iterative, and that's what I love about Pipedrive is that stage doesn't work, let's make a new one. Oh, let's kill that, move that, change that. So yeah, a lot of changes over the years.
How was it for you?
So I'm not going to pretend that I know all 5 steps of my CRM again. But, no, look for us. I think it makes a lot of sense thinking about it from a customer perspective, and I think while we don't have that reflective in the stages of our CRM, in terms of the way we track metrics and also the way that we deal with customers within each of the stages is very much mapped to the customer journey.
Yeah.
Can I just add, I think what's happening, and this is proving out at enterprise level, because we run enterprise for a lot of large organisations, is people want to choose their own journey. And so what you're really trying to do is make sure you can measure where they are in that journey and less around forcing them through a certain path. And that's definitely very different to sales, say, 5 years ago when it was more relationship driven. You timed it to what worked for you. Everything's flipped to you time and you let your customer choose their journey.
Yeah, awesome. And look, the only other thing I'd add to that is absolutely let them to use their journey, but think about having the stages that you've got that help you sort of forecast your business based off verifiable actions from the customer rather than what you think you've scheduled. Okay, so make sure that they've jumped a hurdle with you to be able to go through that process. One more.
I'm just wondering at what rate your sales organisations grew in comparison to your product organisation. So from the early days to now, did they sort of grow at the same rate, or did you grow the product team much faster and sales has come later? Or did you sort of try and keep them at the same sort of proportion as you grew?
I'd like to say that we had a really strong strategy and it was really that well planned out. I think we, being enterprise software, so we probably grew out product a little earlier than sales. So for a very long time, it was myself kind of just hitting the pavement, doing a lot of sort of face-to-face sales. But I can say now that we've kind of hit scale, it's very much almost a 50-50 in terms of our organisation. And really, it's probably going to become more like an 80-20 in terms of sales and marketing globally is becoming, I guess, the number one area of acquisition for talent for us.
I'll just answer we pre-sold, so we bootstrapped the company. So it was product, we were sold first, built the product, but then made it common for everyone. And then built out the product team, then built the kind of services and marketing team, and now we're building out the product team. So I'm now flipping it back the other way.
Very cool.
Probably similar to you, it's been a bit lumpy. We started off with a larger a product team and probably me hitting the phones in commercial, and it's evened out a lot more now. We really have sort of a 30-30 split across the business between I mean it's not exactly, but sales, service, engineering is quite even, and it is growing now more evenly.
Awesome. Well, that's us. So, guys, thank you very much for your questions and your attention. More importantly, could we please get a hand together for Matt, Emma, and Anne for help sharing their insight. Thank you.